Today we're talking about a theatrical program focusing on veterans, yet it's meant for veteran families and the general public too. It's called Modern Warrior Live. And with me is Mark Moffett, who is the Veterans Program Manager for Thurston County, and Dr. Tim Stokes, President of South Puget Sound Community College. Welcome. Greatly appreciate you taking your time. But since we're talking about veterans, I want to start with a discussion about what it is each of you do and how your job intersects with veterans in our community. Let's start with Dr. Stokes.
Thanks, Commissioner. Well, as you probably know, there are many veterans transferring out of JBLM and coming to South Puget Sound Community College. I think when I arrived here in 2013, there were about 200 service members who had transitioned, and we're now up to over 500, so that's a growing population for the college. And in that growth, we've had to work a lot with our Veterans Center on providing adequate service and helping those service members transition from active duty military into the classroom, which is, I'm sure you can imagine, is a pretty big transition. Mm-hmm. So some of our work here at the college has been helping faculty and staff in the larger community understand how to work better with veterans.
Wow, and not many people know that, the population at the college.
Yeah, it's been growing quite a bit over the last 5 to 7 years, and something we're really proud of. We think we provide a great avenue from active duty military into the economy here in Thurston County. So it's part of our work that we're most proud of here at South Puget Sound.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear. And Mark, you work with the Veteran Services out of the Public Health and Social Services office or department in the county. What is it you do, and how does it intersect with veterans?
Well, thank you, Commissioner. I really appreciate your support and your two colleagues at the Board of County Commissioners. Without your support, the intricate web that we've developed in Thurston County for veterans wouldn't be what it is today. I work with veterans every day in 3 different areas. One, I educate. Many veterans don't know that they're eligible for services or benefits, maybe because of their characterization of discharge or time in service. So I educate them on what those benefits are, and then I let them know where we can help them at. Usually that's at the Lacey Veterans Hub, which we can talk about later. I also do direct assistance financially. So if there's an emerging condition, maybe they're late with rent, they're coming up short with money, we can help them with financial support. And what we want to do is make sure that the veteran and their family stay in their home, they stay warm, and they have food on their table, and we can do that. We can also plan ahead and help them with their financial activities. And the last thing I do is I help develop programs within the county. Last year, thanks to the Board of County Commissioners, we were able to expand our policy so we can embrace more veterans and also help with more services. And then also last month we did a listening session with community members and veterans and their families to find out where we're missing the mark, where are we coming up short for veterans. And overall it was about communication. We're not communicating where all these services are and how they can achieve them. So that's one great thing about this conversation now, because we can get that word out in a different venue.
I imagine you're quite busy in your job.
Very busy, sir, yes.
Good grief. And thank you for recognizing the support of the BOCC. When I came into office in 2017, one of the first things we did was, by proclamation and resolution, designated Thurston County as a Purple Heart County as well. So it's very meaningful to us and very important. But what I'll do is I want to play a clip from this Modern Warrior Live theatrical performance. When I first saw this a couple years ago at a behavioral health conference in Washington, D.C., I was very moved by it. Having a son who's a disabled veteran, just really helped me in understanding where he is coming from and where he is right now. So let's watch this clip and then we'll discuss it.
My name is Jaymes. I'm the co-creator, writer, and narrator of Modern Warrior.
My name is Dominick Farinacci. I'm co-creator of Modern Warrior Initiative.
It's a new production that involves an autobiographical story of Jaymes Poling, who's a young veteran.
Listening to him talking, I know how powerful it is to hear the story from the person who went through it. I was so incredibly intrigued by this story that I said, okay, well, how can we put this story out there in a unique and creative way that's going to reach veterans and also civilians?
What's exciting about it is that it's getting this idea of post-traumatic growth out there.
And being able to share it really kind of took it to a different level for me. I think we have to ask, at what point does the constant discussion of psychological trauma become internalized and damaging to veterans themselves?
I think it brought a lot of people together, and it was just an emotional experience that I honestly want everyone to experience.
I have friends that were in the military, and a lot of times you don't get that insight of what really happens, what people really feel.
It was an amazing evening, and I'm so glad to be part of it.
And because I'm a veteran of the war in Vietnam, it resonated with me. It hit a home run, and as a military veteran, I will tell you, right on.
And that short clip was very powerful, Commissioner. And I'll tell you why. I've been working with veterans for over a decade now, and I can tell you that PTSD, the symptoms of PTSD and TBI is so varied. And it is so varied, in fact, that I didn't notice those symptoms in myself. As veterans, we think we can fix just about everything, including ourselves. But isolating yourself from society, your family and your friends, it's not fixing. Sleeping on a couch for 15 years because you think you're protecting your perimeter isn't fixing yourself. Destroying all your intimate relationships because you're fearing of getting close to someone isn't fixing yourself. You know, the alcohol, the rage, the negative thoughts, none of that's fixing yourself. It's just covering up the problem, and it's delaying the healing. Sometimes it takes a humbling experience or a moment to realize how far you've come and how far you need to go. And I can tell you real quickly my humbling moment. I was trying to explain to my daughter why I slept on the couch for so long. And I told her that it was because I was protecting her and her sister. And I felt like I was on duty 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And she said, you won't guess what she said, Commissioner, but she said, Dad, I know. Because I feel the same way. I feel like I'm on duty. And that's the tragedy of PTSD, because it affects everybody around you. The loved ones that you think you're protecting, that's who you're hurting. And so that was my humbling moment to say that I need help, even though I knew where to get help. I knew for 10 years I was sending soldiers with PTSD and TBI where to get help, but I never sought it myself until that moment. And that's what's so powerful about this program, is because it's not another veteran telling you where to get help, like I do all day. It's this performance is reflecting a mirror back at you and telling you, this is who you are, this is what society sees you as. Now, what are you going to do about it?
Wow. Well, I do kind of get that, because after 35 years in law enforcement, I always slept with one ear and one eye open. And when I wasn't around or working graveyard, it was my son's job to protect Mom and his sister. So I saw how that impacted his life as well. Dr. Stokes.
The idea of post-traumatic growth is really interesting to us here at the college, and I think in the larger community, because if you think about the mission of the college, it really is about growth and economic development and moving people up the socioeconomic ladder. And we think our work in the veteran community is really important around that concept of post-traumatic growth. We also are seeing, like I said earlier, a growing number of veterans on our campus. So I think part of our job as administrators here at the college is to make sure that faculty, staff, and even our students have a really good idea of the experience our veterans have been through. Many of us do not have military backgrounds. We haven't served in the military. And so sometimes it's important to you know, as we said where I was growing up, walk a mile in someone else's shoes.
Have you seen something like this program here at SPSCC?
Well, maybe not exactly like this program, but in our Artist and Lecture series, we bring guests from around the country in to have these crucial conversations with our community. And we usually do them through lectures, readings, sometimes performances. I think this combines all of that, so I'm not sure we've ever seen anything like this. Majority of our students are, well, the average age here at the college is 28, but a lot of our students are between the ages of 16 and 21, and they're sitting in classes with service members, and they haven't necessarily been exposed to a lot of interaction with service members and veterans.
And I know your time is valuable, but I want to hear what it is, what services are available to veterans in our community.
Well, you can't mention Thurston County and veterans in the same sentence without talking about the Lacey Veteran Service Hub. That is really the premier in the state for helping veterans. In 2014, the concept was to have one site where all veterans went for anything that they needed. It's kind of tragic to send somebody with PTSD across the city or across the state to receive services, because they're going to get frustrated and just go home, and we're going to lose them. So the Lacey Veteran Service Hub has over 60 partners that work out of that hub, from transportation, education, employment, financial aid, veteran service officers that help with VA disability benefits, legal counseling, and mental health and substance abuse counseling as well. So it's a huge organization that just embraces a veteran when they come in. So it's really unlike anywhere in the nation. And then we also have other, we have so many different resources within Thurston County. We also have, Thurston County sponsors emergency shelters for homeless veterans. Last year we sponsored 1,160 emergency shelter bed nights. That's a lot of veterans off the streets in the cold weather. I also am the chair of the Veterans Employee Resource Group for the county, and what we do is we help to integrate new veteran county employees into the culture of Thurston County. What we know is that veterans, when they leave active service, over 50% of them will only stay at their first job for a year, because they just don't understand it. So what we're trying to do is bring them into the culture. But there's a lot of other resources, and Lacey Veterans Hub is the first place to go research those.
Wow, great. And Doctor, or Tim, what services does the college have for our veterans?
Well, I think our greatest service is providing the space for the Lacey Veterans Hub on our Lacey campus out on 6th Avenue in Lacey. But also in conjunction with that, on the campus here at Mottman, we have a Veterans Center. We have a couple of veteran service coordinators who help our veterans transition into college and through college. But overwhelmingly, the impact that we have is through the Lacey Veterans Hub. In addition to that, we have a special program here at the college called Ignite. It's a program for veterans, low SES students, and underrepresented students. And you're assigned with a peer mentor and someone who's like you, who looks like you, and has some of the same background as you. And they help you navigate college. College isn't easy to navigate, especially if you're a first-generation college student. So that peer mentoring and that program Ignite, it also helps a lot with financial aid and just helping students figure out all of the complexities of going to college.
So there's different facets in our community, different organizations and entities that wrap services around the veterans to take care of them. I cannot thank either of you gentlemen enough for being a part of this conversation. Dr. Stokes and Mark Moffitt, thank you very much for this, because our veterans have never turned their backs on us, nor should we turn our backs on our veterans. Dr. Stokes and Mark Moffitt, thank you very much for taking time to join in this conversation and provide meaning and perspective to it. I appreciate that. Thank you for tuning in to Thurston County Connection, and a special thanks to all of our active duty military and veterans. Thank you.